Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Story on the Spot. My name is Jim Heskett. You can see there it says Arbiter Jim because I am the arbiter of this grand experiment. And I'm joined today by the very googly-eyed Nick Thacker. It says Thack Attack. And then Mr. Kevin Tumlinson. And rounding out clockwise is Mr. R.A. McGee. Hello, everyone.
He just called you round.
The shoe fits, man.
Is that a fat joke?
The shoe fits. Wear it.
Yeah.
Wear it.
So if you're watching, you might notice I have just thrown up a banner along the bottom that has all of our websites. If you enjoy the show, if you're getting something out of it, we would love it if you could support the show by visiting our authors' websites and maybe buying a book or two. Or you could probably just go pirate all of them. I mean, they're probably mostly available out there on the pirate sites.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
All we care about is exposure. We don't.
You've made it when people are swiping your books.
Depending on your proclivity toward malware, you can get all of our books for free.
Exactly. Yep. So what we're doing here is that this is Story on the Spot, where I will reveal some story prompts that I've taken from news articles, and these guys are all going to have a chance to invent a story to take that story wherever it goes. But first, a little bit of housekeeping. Last week, Nick is holding up a book of, I didn't see the.
I'm ready to go. I've got my research material.
Fingerprints of the gods.
That's where I get all my stories.
Yeah, I know. I wonder why our books all read exactly the same. Tumlinson,
you have a hardbound. I don't have a hardback version of that book.
I don't think they print this anymore.
I feel inadequate.
First up, the question on everyone's minds: who is the week 3 winner? The week 3 winner is, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. R.A. McGee. Counted up all the comments and points, and
rigged.
So see, here's the thing, Nick and Kevin. The reason why you're not winning is because RA has reached out to his fans and asked them to watch the show.
I did the same thing.
I asked my people to watch the show. I can't help it. They're not out there.
Oh, they're watching. They're just not thumbs upping it.
This is because I'm a woman, isn't it?
Okay. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess we're
keep your judgments.
We lost Ray.
We lost Thacker on that one.
He's back. There he is. Oh, now he's in a different place, and it's all messed up. We're gonna have to start over.
Circle gets the square.
Okay, so Kevin and Nick, you can fix it today by being awesome. That's my advice. Just be awesome.
All right.
Okay.
Well, that counts me out.
I'm gonna go ahead and get started reading our first story of the day. And all the stories today are still from the Shepherd Express newspaper. North Carolina, this is called Don't Look in the Trunk. North Carolina State Highway Patrol officers stopped Lance Gordon for speeding in a car belonging to Angela Lee, whom Gordon said was an acquaintance. Authorities grew suspicious after local police were unable to contact Lee to confirm the story, and in a subsequent search of her house and car, investigators found Lee's body in the car's trunk. Gordon was charged with Lee's murder, along with stealing her car. So this is our first prompt. I can call on somebody, or if somebody would like to go first, if somebody has a story idea ready to go, you can launch into it. But I'll just babble here for a couple of seconds to give everyone time to think. I'm kind of interested where they found her car, because the story doesn't say. It just says that he killed her, took her car, and then later they found her in the trunk of the car. But they searched her house and they searched her car. So did he return the car to her house? Did he stupidly drive the car with a dead body back to his own house and park it in his garage, like that movie they made about that nurse in Dallas who hit someone with her car? Remember that? It was like 15 years ago. That nurse in Dallas hit somebody with her car, and the person was like half stuck out of the windshield.
Well, 15 years ago, I was like 15. So
I remember that.
Yeah, see, there we go. Kevin remembers that. They made a movie about it. It was a terrible movie. But anyway, since no one has so far gone, I am going to pick someone.
Okay.
RA, you go first. Reigning champ RA is going to go first.
All right. So
as punishment,
it says, it says that let's see, he was stopped in a speeding car. The authorities couldn't locate her. So I'm going to go and assume that this was all on the side of the road. Everything took place on the side of the road until they arrested him and then towed his car away and things like that. So I think that I would like to write a story for this about a guy who is schizophrenic and he's hearing voices. Okay. And the voices are telling him what to do as he goes from place to place across the North Carolina countryside. And I think that he is running so fast that he was having places to stop where he could take bodies and dispose of them. But now the voices are getting more insistent and they're getting more insistent. And so he's having to do things in a much more haphazard manner, which has resulted in him getting caught this time. And obviously, this isn't the end of the story. The story is going to continue with a cop, an investigator who is following him from place to place. I think it should be FBI or maybe the state investigations bureau, so they have a wider range of authority. And they're following him from place to place. Our guy's going to escape. He's been charged with murder. He's going to escape. And then the story is going to be the investigator trying to locate him as the voices get louder and louder in his head. So.
All right. Hopefully they will find him in a trunk somewhere. All right, Nick or Kevin, if you're ready to go, I can call on you. I can pick on one of you. I'm looking to see which one of you looks more uncomfortable right now, and that's the person I'm going to choose.
For
it. Nicholas, let's go. What do you got?
Oh man, did I look uncomfortable? Crap. That's just how I look, man. Okay, I think this is just a simple case of Lance Gordon, who's an FBI agent, finding out that there is a ploy to release a virus into this location in the United States. And the way they're going to do it is they're going to kill somebody and then leave the body in the back of her car. And they're going to park the car in a parking garage that's the middle of downtown, right? So a real busy place. And so the way it works is the virus just slowly breaks down the body, eventually seeps out, and it fills this parking garage, and everybody gets infected. And it's way, way past when the murder happens. And so he finds out about it and decides to investigate. And we're catching it right at the end of the story where he's trying to get away because he's found the body, he's found the car, and he decides he's going to sacrifice himself and just drive the car into the ocean. So he's speeding, trying to get to the ocean so he can drive off the side of the cliff with the body in the back seat. He dies. She's already dead, but the virus is still contained within the trunk of the car. The problem is the cop was really good that day and caught him.
And that's the end of the story.
Dun, dun, dun.
I don't know if that one really warrants a dun dun.
Oh man.
Ouch. I don't know if I want to go now.
All right, Mr. Tumlinson.
It's that good.
Okay,
Don't look in the trunk. What do you got?
Here's what I think happens. So first of all, the guy, what's his name again? Lance Gordon, is the in progress ex-boyfriend of Angela Lee. He's made it clear he wants to split up. She's desperate to keep him around. She says, "Look, I'm going out of town. Why don't you? I know you want to take a little trip, but you don't have a car. Take my car and go on your road trip. And when you get back, we'll talk about it." So he does that, and he's kind of upset about everything. He's kind of maybe he's getting into his music or whatever, and he's flying down the highway and he gets pulled over and he gets the police officer says, "Who are you? Why are you driving this lady's car?" And he tries to explain it, but it's no good. So the police impound the car and take him in until they can get hold of Angela Lee. Okay. But there's no progress. No matter what, the guy's sitting in a cell. He keeps waiting. And eventually they come to him and say, they come to him and they officially arrest him and charge him with murder because they found her body in the trunk. And he has no idea how it got there. And there's a lot of, yeah, sure. And he's going to go to prison. Fast forward through the story, plot point, and a lot of cool events happen. But what we find out is
road sign, road sign, road sign.
the police officer who arrested him was tracking him because he murdered Angela Lee. And then while the car was in impound, put the body in the trunk and framed him so that he could get away with it.
Very nice. I like that one a lot.
Did that earn a dun dun dun?
It was a pretty good twist. Yeah, that's a dun dun. There's gonna have to make some kind of banner, the dun dun banner.
Oh, there you go. There you go. You need a little star that pops up. Dun, dun,
Dun, dun, dun. All right. If you are watching it live, let us know in the comments which of those stories or which of the pitches for the stories you liked.
Vote for Kevin.
Kevin's is pretty strong. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
And I will go ahead and read us our next prompt. And there's going to be an accent for this one. Fair warning.
Oh, good God.
Trigger warning accent.
I'm heading over the remove from stream button right now.
Trigger warning accent coming. This is called Stewie Saves the Day. Stuart Gatt, also known as Stewie the Snake Catcher, was summoned to a yard in Arbiter, Victoria, Australia, where he bagged up a female tiger snake in order to relocate it in the wild. But when Gatt opened the bag a short time later, he discovered the snake had given birth to several offspring, one of which had 2 heads. Gatt took the snakes to direct vet services and had them checked over. The usual one-headed babies were fine, but the 2-headed specimen had to be euthanized. These animals are generally not viable, so it was euthanized on humane grounds, the clinic posted on its Facebook page. Mom and babies were returned to the wild according to plan, and Nick actually did leave the stream.
I'm done warning you. I'm just going to do it. Whenever there's an accent, I'm out.
I'm pretty sure I nailed that accent.
I'm pretty sure.
Much
To a wall.
nailed it straight in. Nailed it through a
As
wall.
a kid who grew up in Texas all his life, I'm pretty sure you nailed that Australian accent.
I used to live there in Australia, but I do apologize to my Australian friends. I know it was terrible. Okay, so last time RA went first. So Kevin or Nick, if either of you would like to volunteer, you can, or I can just pick someone. What's going on with this 2-headed snake?
All right, I went last time, so it's only fair if I go first this time. Shorter time frame. Okay, I think the direction of this story is there is a local cult that is into arcane practices, and they've been looking for a sign. And the deity they worship, the deity that they're trying to summon, is a 2-headed serpent. So when this thing is born and it's taken in, this vet says that he euthanized it, but in reality he's one of the practicing cult members and delivers this thing to his cult, where they're now going to nurture it into adulthood, and over time it starts to show more anthropomorphic features. It grows human limbs and legs and becomes this thing. So this is the harbinger of what's to come. And somebody out there reads this story in the Shepherd Express and realizes, my God, it's the 2-headed serpent entity. I've got to do something. And then that gets them engaged in this whole thing. And that's where the thriller journey begins. Our hero travels from Texas or Colorado, or where are you, R.A.?
North Carolina.
North Carolina, no. Texas or Colorado, then. All the way over to Australia.
That doesn't work.
Top 8.
That is
my narrative here.
and starts the process of hunting down this 2-headed snake entity.
all right. So it's got a devious, twisted cult behind it all. I like that. So far, Kevin is getting some love in the comments for the first story. It was a nice twist.
Let's see how that wins for the day.
I'll go second if you want to go last, Nick, and think about your story. So I think that this starts out as a genetic kind of techno thriller, okay? and we have a scientist who is working on some pretty illegal things, okay, at his office. And the government finds out, and they're going to shut him down. All right. And what the scientist is doing is he's creating weapons by weaponizing, snake DNA and things like that. And so the government,
just some snake
DNA, man. Well, they're trying to work on ways to grow back limbs for war veterans.
Damn it. That's
right?
Okay. Never mind.
It's the lizard. Okay. It's the lizard. If you want to say the lizard, you got to go second. You can't just wait. Okay. So in any event, they're trying to weaponize all this DNA. All right. In the snake matter. And the government finds out, they're going to shut them down, as governments are wont to do in this situation. And the scientist takes the snake home with him, unknown that the snake is pregnant, but obviously it's some kind of weird, immaculate DNA mutation conception. And so the snake escapes from the scientist's house and gets found in the neighbor's yard, and that's where our catcher comes into play. He comes there, he picks the snake up, not knowing that there's anything weird going on, and delivers it to the vet. Well, now the shadowy cabal who employed the scientist is on the lookout to rub anyone out who's had any kind of contact with this snake. And so they're going to be after our snake catcher, Stewart. And that kind of sets the story off. So
there's a lot of innuendo phrases in that.
Get your head out of the gutter, Kevin. Get your head out of the gutter, sir.
Yeah, I think there might be some subtext to RA's story there that he's not quite ready to talk about.
Sometimes the snake is just a snake, RA.
Sometimes it's just a snake. That's what I'm saying.
I think some snakes are live birth. I think most of them lay eggs, but I think some of them are live birth, aren't they?
I actually do think that's true. I think I have read that somewhere. Yeah, that there are some live birth.
Jack Curl knows.
Jack Curl says tiger snakes do indeed give live birth.
Indeed.
Right here. There, okay.
That's
well, since RA so generously stole my idea, I am just going to say it anyway, even though I had time to think of another idea. I'm just going to use my same idea because I think it's good. Well, anyway, so I think Stewie, the snake catcher, has actually been hired by a company to. Oh, look, my wife is watching. That's cool. I think this is the first ever time she's paid attention to my author.
Hi, Emily. Vote for me.
I'm just kidding. She's read one of my books, I think, once. I think Stewie is employed by a company that has figured out a way to work on limb regeneration, just like RA said, but it was my idea first. And so they've actually hired this guy to go find specimens that have been accidentally released. So they basically escaped the place where these guys are doing this research because they're doing testing on these animals that's not really kosher. And so they just want to make sure that they get all their assets collected again so that no one can see what they're doing. Well, the thing is, somebody saw what Stewie was doing and sent it to the news. And so now they have to come out with this story. Then the story is basically, well, we had to euthanize this one because you can't keep them as pets, but the other ones we've been released back into the wild. But the real story is that this company is doing animal testing, and they're basically onto something in order to figure out how to regenerate limbs and regrow ears and legs and toes and all that. But the twist is, they're not doing it for good purposes. They're doing it for nefarious purposes. They're basically working with one of the Middle Eastern countries that's constantly waging terrorist acts on the rest of the world, and they're building them like these soldiers that can essentially not be killed because they won't die of blood loss. They'll just regrow their limbs.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Vote for me, everybody.
Well, I think everybody was too busy in the comments talking about snake babies.
Welcome to Snake Talk.
Well, I'm married to 1/3 of the viewers right now, so I have a chance to get a vote.
I started a watch party. I was hoping that might attract people. But then for like several seconds there, I didn't know what Nick was talking about because I kept hearing him in a weird delayed echo.
It's okay. I didn't hear myself in a weird delayed echo, and I still don't.
I didn't know either. He Michael Scotted the hell out of that thing.
Well, we've got some people watching live, but we definitely have more people who watch after the fact because, we've all got fans that are all over the world and they can't always make it live. But Lisa, super fan from the UK, she thinks RA's story won the last round. Everybody else comment, let us know.
All
I
right.
am going to move on to the next story, and there's an accent in this one as well.
Beautiful.
This is called Flaming Vicar. Vicar Simon Beach, 61, of the St. Bedrove Parish Church in Plymouth, England, was uncomfortable enough as he launched into his first virtual church service in March, calling it surreal. But as he leaned into the camera to deliver the final portion of his sermon, he looked to his left and calmly deadpanned, "Oh dear, I've just caught fire." Beach had leaned a bit too close to one of several nearby candles and ignited his sleeve. "I just felt my arm getting a bit hot," he told local news. The flame damaged his sweater and shirt, but did not burn his skin. Beach was teased a bit by fellow vicars who razzed him for being on fire for Jesus. Okay, RA's gone first. I'm pretty sure Kevin has gone first. Has everybody gone first yet?
I think so.
I
I know
have not.
Nick has.
I have not, but I think this is just a really bad story idea. So I think we should probably just go to the next idea.
No, I can win this.
I got nothing. I don't even know. It's just, this bores me. There's nothing here.
I got
All right, so Kevin and RA, it seems like the crown is yours to grab for this point.
I think I should probably go second since I think RA hasn't had a chance to go last yet, right?
Nope, I haven't.
Okay, I'm going to do that. Okay, so I think we have inadvertently uncovered an unbreakable scenario here. We, as this pastor or as vicar was giving this talk, he says, his clothes burned, but he was unaffected by the fire. And so after this, he starts to ponder, like, what's going on with that? I mean, why wasn't? And now, come to think of it, I don't think I've ever been burned by a fire. I've been to hospitals to talk to burned patients, and I've imagined the pain they must be going through. And I've cut myself and I've done other things, but I've never been burned by a fire. And so he starts to test this, and he goes, he gets one of the candles and he holds his hand in the flames, and nothing happens. And so it turns out that he has an immunity to fire. And in that, he doesn't share this with anybody because he's not sure if anybody will believe him or what the consequences will be. But he starts kind of doing some research, getting online, seeing if anybody else has something like this. And he starts to discover an entire community of people who have quirky little things like this. He's immune to fire. This person can't be cut by glass. They can be cut by steel, but not glass. This person can be out in the cold with no clothes on for an entire night, not feel a thing. So what he's slowly discovering is that there's this, there's something going on, and at a fundamental level in humanity, and we're all adapting to things in certain ways. And it's not just a special few. It turns out to be all of humanity. So it's like a next evolutionary step for mankind.
I was with you until it was for everybody because I was expecting like a Defender style, like a vicar, super vicar team up.
Yeah, was that like the plot of Unbreakable? Is that what that?
No, not exactly. Unbreakable.
Exactly.
He was actually like
he was white.
But I did say unbreakable scenario at the beginning of this. That's my.
That is true. It's not plagiarism if you add it in the bibliography.
That's true.
All right,
I'll even have the vicar quote from that movie if that will make things better.
So I call this story the Z-Men. They're all mutants.
So this is what I would do. Okay, I think that this is, a drug trafficking conspiracy story. Okay, and we have a street level hero, a la Luke Cage or the Equalizer or Porter. If anyone reads my books, go check him out. Yeah, street level guy. And what's happening is you have a clothing manufacturing company Okay, and what they do is they're very big. You know, they've got plenty of looms and machines making products. And what they do with part of their line is they make clothing for the clergy, right? Because what better way to hide clothing? And no one's going to pay attention to a cassock or whatever they call those, right? It's a cassock. No one would ever pay attention to that. And what they do is they take it and they have liquidized cocaine and they soak the clothing in the cocaine. Okay. And so once they bring it out, they dry it with.
Why does everything come back to cocaine for you?
Once we talked about cocaine hippos, the door was wide open, dude.
RA is all about
Every
cocaine
story.
and rub downs.
So cocaine and hookers, man. Cocaine and hookers. So, anyways, they soak the clothing in cocaine, and then they use industrial heaters to dry it. All right. And then what they're supposed to do is take that and ship it to certain places where it can get soaked, and then they can dry out the coke, and then they've got their product back. Well, this shipment happened to go the wrong place. It actually went to the vicar's house, so he wore it.
Uh-oh.
RA, you there?
And that's what's in clothing. Oh, was that me?
Yeah. We just lost like the last 10 seconds.
Well, our hero goes and talks to the vicar. He finds out where he bought the clothing, kind of offhandedly, because he didn't think, whatever those are made out of polyester rayon mix would go up that fast. And so he starts backtracking his way through the purchase cycle. He finds the distributor, and then he works his way all the way up to the top and shuts down the drug trafficking ring. So that's what I would do.
So, Nick, have you had time to think? I would have thought with your, service in the church that there would be lots of great different directions you could take this story.
I hear the word church and I immediately check out and stop listening.
I understand. All right. Okay. So Nick has -1 point for being a not joiner. -1 point.
You do understand the game, right, Nick?
Have you seen me compete in sports, Kevin? There's many games I don't understand.
Go out on the soccer field and just sort of lay down and swipe at the ball as it goes by.
Who wants it?
All right, everybody. Here's the next story. No accent here, but another return of New Mexico, which, no offense to New Mexicans, but after reading a lot of these Story of the Weird, it's becoming pretty clear that New Mexico is the Florida of the Southwest. So, all right. Sage Cummins, 24, of Gallup, New Mexico, woke up one recent morning and found he had 2 TVs in his room that had not been there the day before. Days later, he found out an acquaintance was missing 2 TVs and put 2 and 2 together.
Smart guy.
Cummins returned to the victim's apartment with the goods and approached an officer who was there investigating the burglary report. He told the officer he had been, quote, very intoxicated when he knocked on a door that evening, and when no one answered, he entered the home, but he didn't remember what had happened after that. Cummins told police he, quote, wanted to make things right and return the stolen items. Nevertheless, he was arrested and charged with receiving stolen property. So this guy got all drunk, kind of went over to his friend's house and was like, hey, Debbie has 2 TVs. I have no TVs. I should take one of her TVs. And then he took both of them. And then woke up and was like, where did these TVs come from? Did I win some kind of contest?
Now I have 2 TVs.
I have a plethora. Would you say I have a plethora of TVs? Yes. Yes, Sage, you have a plethora of TVs.
Why have they? No, that's El Guapo. El Guapo's the one.
El Guapo, yeah. From
name
Three
that
Amigos.
movie. No, don't give him the answer, man. Do you know how this game is played? All right. I might wait. I was just about to jump in. Somebody else need to go first or what?
Nick should probably go first because he's being a negative Nancy.
Yeah, negative Nicky.
You're the one that gave me negative point. If I didn't have a negative point, you couldn't.
You didn't answer. You didn't play the game. That's
Also,
a negative point.
People who say negative Nancy, my name already starts with an N. You don't need to change it to Nancy. Okay.
Yeah, it's just more insulting though. I kind of like that.
Somebody's panties are in a wad.
Man.
Go ahead.
Blackout thief, Mr. Sage Cummins.
24 Gallup.
A little blackout drunk thievery rampage to an acquaintance of his. So it wasn't even like a stranger or someone who's really close with. It was just somebody that he met at a party and was like,
Yeah.
she's got 2 TVs.
Okay. I think what we're dealing with here is a classic case of teleportation.
Damn.
So Gallup, I think, is pretty close to Los Alamos National Laboratory. And if it's not, I don't want to hear anything from you, Peanut Gallery. We'll just pretend like it is.
Same state.
They're both in New Mexico, right?
Yeah.
And so I think Los Alamos, the laboratory has been working on a way to essentially move inanimate, inorganic objects from one place to another through space using teleportation, but type thing, right? And I have it all planned out, the science and stuff. It just takes too long to explain, so I'll just skip over that. But so it makes perfect sense how it happens. Now they wanted to test it, and so they did. But what happened was this guy got in the way and got somehow involved, and so they had to essentially kidnap him and inject him with something that would essentially make him drunk, so that he had no recollection of what was happening. So he wakes up with 2 TVs and just assumes, well, I must have stolen these 2 TVs, and I'm not a thief. I just wanted to make it right. So, I gave them back to my neighbor, and that was the end of the story for him. But truthfully, the real main character of the story is like, man, that was close. It was a close call. The main character's main job, I should add, of course, is to essentially fix problems gone awry from the laboratory. So the laboratory will do something, and his job is to go around, and he's a fixer to try to make sure everything's like, above board and things make sense. And he injects little stories into the media as needed, but it's all just to keep his laboratory off the hook.
All right, not bad. Nick's making a comeback. RA, you got something?
Yeah, I'll go second. So I think that this is a very intense psychological thriller type where the guy's name was Shane, right? The 24-year-old who was like blackout drunk.
Sage.
Okay. So I think that Sage has a history of being, like a bully and like kind of a problem, like as he grew up. And I think that all throughout middle school and high school and let's say community college, because it's New Mexico, that he's had one guy that he's been picking on.
Sorry,
this
New
whole time.
Mexico people.
And he's beat up. He's beat this guy up. He's taken this guy's girlfriend, and he's done everything that he can do to basically ruin this guy's life. And so that the guy had a breakdown, and so he was institutionalized for a couple of years. And during this couple of years, he's had nothing to do but time to figure out his revenge on Sage. And so I think that this is the opening salvo of him trying to destroy Sage's life. And so, he's going to break into his house. He's going to leave things, right? He's going to start calling the cops. He's going to, it's just everything that you can do. He's going to plant things in his car, and it's going to culminate with a body in the trunk, very much like our early story with Lance, right? Lance is the name of the guy who Lance and Sage is the same type of situation where he has no idea what's going on. And all he knows is everything's going wrong. From his girlfriend's going to break up with him. You know what I mean? His pet's going to die. And then at the end of it all, Sage realizes it's the guy that he was picking on while the guy tries to plant a body in his trunk and frame him for murder. And so that's what I think. It's one of those really tense, like psychological revenge thrillers. So
nice. Extra juice for tying it back to a previous story.
Yeah.
All right. I think, Kevin, you are the only one who hasn't gone, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Nick stole my teleportation idea. So I have modified it. So here's what I think. This guy, he wakes up, he sees the 2 TVs, he wants to make it right. He goes next door to the lady whose TVs were stolen. Was it a lady? Do we even know that?
It just says an acquaintance.
An acquaintance. So yeah, it's a lady. So whatever. But when he is being arrested for this, the lady runs out and stops it and says, "Hey, wait a minute, these aren't my TVs." So they're not actually the TVs that were stolen. So they let this guy go, and he goes back to his room, and now he's got two TVs. He's like, they're not mine. And they say, until you know who you got them from, we got nothing to hold you on. So he's got these two TVs, and he goes back to his apartment. And the next night, he doesn't get drunk because he's like afraid of what he's going to do, but he goes to sleep. And when he wakes up, there's a new chair in the room, and he starts kind of investigating, and someone has had a chair stolen out of their house, but it's not this chair. It's a completely different, like his is a plush chair and theirs was like a wooden chair. And so what he ends up discovering over time is that every time he goes to sleep, he opens a sort of pocket reality thing, and it's two-way. And so objects are falling through, and their sort of like quantum linked equivalent fall through on his side. And eventually people start falling through these things. And so he's he's afraid to go to sleep because he's worried about what sort of damage he's going to do. Because, now there are people in our universe who don't belong here, and other consequences are starting to happen from this. Like maybe there's some sort of rift forming, and, storms are starting to pick up, all kinds of natural phenomena are happening. So he's got to figure this out and solve this before something really harmful and irrevocable happens. And that's the gist of the story.
Very nice. Kevin, when you first started talking, I thought you were going in a different direction with it. I thought you were going to say every time he saw a chair, then the actual platonic ideal of that perfect chair would come through a portal.
There was an idea there, and that's where I was going. I was going to kind of link the whole platonic idea with the quantum state thing, and if no one knows what we're talking about, it's this idea that Plato had about everything has its ultimate representation somewhere out there. Like if there's a chair somewhere, there's the perfect chair that's the model of all other chairs. So yeah, I did kind of have that in mind, but I didn't know if I could go in. I didn't want to try to bend that into the story necessarily.
Right. Well, everyone, we're about out of time. We're past a half an hour, and we're out of all the good stories. No, I'm just kidding. We got lots of good stories left. But if you want to throw up some final comments here to add in your votes, you can. It's really, just puke those comments right up there. It is very difficult to tell who won so far because we've had some pretty good stories, got a lot of votes all the way around. I'm going to put up a little banner here to invite people to visit us at storyonthespot.live, because that's where you can find links to all of our stuff, including the podcast. Because if you're not into watching this, if you're just like audio entertainment, you can get us on iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, or whatever they're going to be called. Stitcher, Spotify, all the places. No, this is an interesting comment. Kevin Tilly went a bit screwy at the end. Lisa did not like how you rounded out your story.
Fair enough, Lisa. I think that should be a half point for me and for Nick.
You think, huh?
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning into The Spot. I want to thank Kevin Tumlinson, Ari McGee, and Nick Thacker for joining today. I am also going to put up their websites right there. So enjoy all that, reading all that text on the screen, everyone who's watching it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And let us know in the comments who you think should be the winner. We'll announce it next week. Take care.
And just for fun, type my name in the comments a few times. Unrelated.
Just copy and paste a few times.
See what happens when you type Nick Thacker into the comments. New Facebook feature.
Do you like puppies? If so, type Kevin in the comments.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button.
Smash it.